hopefully you can hear me. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. And this time I'm going to try to do some patterns. So I'm going to make it a gray and white rat. But you don't have to do that. You could just make it all one color like this. And I just left the tail. This tail's different than the pattern. This pattern is available on my Etsy, Crone Tevis. It's very adorable. It's a pretty cheap pattern, so you could go check it out. But you could pretty much do this on any crocheted animal that you want. You can see on this one I use safety eyes, but you don't have to. This one I just did some crochet in there, or not crochet, I just used the needle and put some eyes in that way, and we're gonna felt over those, so you'll see that. Okay, and so the first thing that you need to do, put those away, is you take some yarn, you tie it. Okay, you tie it up like that. And we're gonna comb it out, and I'm using a teaser comb, but if you have a brush like for a cat brush with that's like, you know, the square with all the little things, that would be a lot better, and you'll see why in a minute. I ordered one, but I don't have it yet, so I'm just gonna go with the comb just so I can show you. Actually, let me turn off the fan. Okay, now you won't have stuff blowing around. So you're gonna take the end and you're just gonna start combing right at the end of the yarn. You can bypass this and just get wool roving, I think it's called. I have needle felted before, but I didn't do that much of it, so I don't have any wool roving. But you can just use the yarn that you use to, you know, just any kind of yarn. And you could do this. But if you get the wool roving, it's actually a lot easier because you don't have to do this part. And what we're looking for is this right here. Okay, this is the stuff that we're gonna put on the rat. Okay, so I'm gonna put that aside. So we're just gonna keep combing it through until we get a bunch of that. And yes, it's gonna take a while. Once you have about like this much on it, and it's just not really combing any more out on your comb, you can go ahead and cut this off, and we'll use that. And if you see, like I have these, if you're using a dog brush or cat brush, you probably won't have those because you know, this is not as fine as something like that. But anyway, this is what we're gonna use. Just make it stick together a bit. Put that away and just keep on going. So now we're gonna start felting. And what I did is I got this pack, this kit, and I got it on Etsy, and it was pretty cheap, and I like it because it comes with a nice little bag so I can keep it all together. I'll put a link in the description for that. It came with this felting block, which we'll need for little hands and feet and stuff, but we'll get to that later. These are the size of needles that I'm using. And then I have, they're all in here. We'll be using different ones. But see, this one's used for like a larger area, and then you get into the different ones for fine ones, but they're all the same size needles. Okay, so we're gonna start. We'll start with some white. Just put it right here on the back. These are very sharp, so just make sure your fingers are out of the way. Okay, and we're just going to keep layering these. And this is just getting it so it sticks on there. You kind of want to make sure that you go this way so you don't break needles. You want to, try to stab pretty straight on them. The kit does come with a lot of needles, which is really nice if you're just starting out. Okay, as you can see, this rat is light gray, and I'm putting white on it, but we'll keep putting layers so you don't see any of that. This one, get it? This one I use the same color. You can kind of see the crochet right here. I use the same color as the crochet, and this is just a really light coating. So you can kind of see some of the stitches a little bit. But this one we're gonna go over a bit more so you don't see any of the stitches, because I wanted to see how that looked like. So if you're just using the same color, you might not have to do as much as we're gonna do in this video. It's just up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. Normally I would probably sit this down here, but I don't want the camera to shake. It's on the same table, so I'm kind of lifting it up. You would kind of want it down on the table like this. Maybe it's not shaking the camera. I don't know. I'm not at my computer. It's kind of casting, so it's hard to tell. I don't think it is, but I don't want to take a chance. Okay, so when you get to little spots like this, you don't really need to do this yet, but you go in with the finer needle and you start really getting all of those spots. But we're going to put a lot more on it, so we're not too worried about that right now. It's kind of therapeutic. So this one's gonna be the one to get it on there. And then this one we're gonna use just to really get it in there. It seems like it'll go deeper. And I don't know if you could see, but the needles have like these little things on them that when they go deeper, it really gets it into the yarn, so it's not gonna come off. And you'll see a bunch of holes here, but you know, they'll go away as you keep doing it. It'll get smoother and smoother, and then you just kind of rub over them and you won't see these holes. So like there's parts right here that it doesn't really get, and after, when we get a lot of it on, you would go in with this little one and you would really get those like details of the joints and stuff. And this one's really gonna get it in there. You don't need to do like the whole thing with it, just like little parts. But we'll get into that later. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the layer of all the white, and then I'll come back to show you the gray.
Okay, so I'm having audio troubles, so this is a voiceover, and hopefully I don't miss anything. But here I'm making a pattern, so I want to get the white like kind of in a line, and what I'm doing, you'll see me, I'll go over it, and then I'll kind of pull the yarn down to make the line straighter, and then I'll go over it again with the needle. See, I'm pulling it down right there. And it kind of makes the line pretty straight, because soon I'll be adding some gray. This is also sped up, just so you don't think I do it this fast. So I'm using the bigger needles just to get the gray down. And now I'm switching to the smaller one, and I'm just gonna like make that line right where those two colors meet. And you can see there are lots of spots that you can still see through, but we'll just cover those up later. We're still just getting everything covered. So here I decided I wanted to make a line all the way down the back, and I'm just kind of putting it over the white I already put there. Oh, did you see that little one that rolled off the table? I didn't even notice that. It's probably sitting on the floor right now. So you can pretty much do whatever kind of pattern you want. You just take your color and you start putting it down. I used to have a rat that had a pattern like this. He was adorable. They make really good pets. So I'm going to make it go around the tail a bit. I'm not going to do the tail just because I like how it's a different texture. But I thought it'd be cute just to have the dark color go around it. It's so sad that the audio did a robot thing, but like listening to the little pokes is kind of relaxing. I wish I could have separated the voice. I could have just took that out. So here I'm kind of fixing the top of the pattern so that the stripe kind of goes into the top thicker stripe a bit better. I have no idea what I was saying. Probably something about don't poke your fingers. I don't know. Or talking about the pattern so you can make any kind of pattern. Or if you're just using one color, like the gray rat, or you make a white rat, you don't have to worry about any of this. Just do it all in one color. But there I'm showing you where I'm going to put the gray, and the ears I'm going to try to do a pink. And I'll tell you right now that I didn't like how it turned out, but you know, you could do something different. So here I'm going to go around the eyes. And I kind of really tried not to actually felt on the eyes. I tried to go around it. But when it was all done, I pretty much felt it over them, as you'll see soon. It was a lot easier with the safety eyes on the other rat that I did. The first one was a test run just to see how it would go. And having the safety eyes was a lot easier to work with than having yarn eyes. So I highly recommend the safety eyes. And you'll see I'm kind of going around the ears because I'm going to make those a different color. Honestly, they probably would have looked better just gray. When you do your rat, just do the ears and the feet the color that you want it and just leave them because I think it looks cuter with the little crocheted ears and the crocheted feet. I didn't really like how it turned out. I mean, on the gray one, it looked fine, but this one, I mean, it's probably just the color. I don't know. I didn't like it, but you'll see. Okay, so I guess I stopped it, and then I got all the gray and white pattern that I wanted on there. And now I'm talking about how I want to do the ears and the feet a different color. And I wanted to do it originally a light pink color, but I didn't have any light pink, so I thought I would try this darker, brighter pink mixed with some white and see how that works. See if it would like just make pink, but it did not turn out too good. It is interesting. It kind of looks like a tie-dye kind of color, but it didn't blend into pink how I was hoping it would. But you'll see. So anyway, I'm showing you how I did that. And you already know how to do this part, so I probably shouldn't. But I'll show you what it looks like so you could see how it turned out. I mean, it was okay. It just had some streaks of darker and some streaks of white. Maybe if I had a different brush, it would have blended better. It's possible. I have one coming to me. I'll probably try it again and see what happens. Because being able to blend your own colors might be pretty neat. So you can kind of see how it turned out. There's little spots, but I mean, it was okay. It still kind of worked. Okay, so here I am starting with the back foot, and it was really difficult to try to get it to where you could see it on the camera because the foot keeps moving, and so you kind of want to place it on the pad, and you don't want to do it right on the table because if your needle hits the table, it might break the needle. That's what the pad's for. So I was trying to keep it in front of the camera, but see, it was kind of hard because the foot kept moving. And you also don't want to get your finger, so it was a bit awkward. It'd be easier just to lay it on the mat and just kind of turn your head, but I didn't want to get my head in the way of the camera. So see, it's a lot easier when you can get it sitting on that. And then you just kind of go over it and it'll stick to the pad a little bit, but it's easy to pull off. So it's not like you're not going to felt it to the pad. I don't know what those are made out of, but it's really neat. The top part was the hardest. Like I said, it'd probably be easier just to do the feet, and they're really cute the way that they're crocheted. So it'd probably be easier just to do them in pink or whatever color you want and leave them because it's kind of cute. They look real small sticking out of their little fat bodies. I mean, look at that little left foot. It's adorable. But, you have to do it for science. It's still cute. I'm not a big fan of how the color turned out, though. It's too bright. So that needle, the one with the three needles, it actually was kind of easier because like, when you poke it, it would keep the foot from moving around too much. So it made it a little bit easier just to get it on there. Okay, so here I'm talking about that one of the neat things about this is that you could reshape stuff, and the other rat had a pointy nose, and it was just how I finished it off. And that one wasn't paying much attention, and I kind of didn't finish it off in a point. It's just how it ended up. So I wanted to make that point, and what you could do is you just take a bit of the yarn, and I'm just like making it into a ball so it kind of sticks up on it in on itself. So I just did this for a bit, and then I'm going to put it on the end of the nose, and just kind of shape it. And it did look a lot better. But I think what I'm going to do is by the time this video is up, it'll be done. But I'm going to adjust the pattern so that the nose is a bit more slanted and pointy at that end. But if you need to reshape anything, you can pretty much do it with felting, which is kind of neat. Okay, now I'm talking about the ears, and I sped it up a bit more. We're going to get the front foot. I do one on each side so you could just so you could see. It's like doing little foot surgery on the rat. I didn't stab myself once through this whole thing, but I did cut myself with the scissors. Imagine that. And see how it's like kind of like a marble color? It's really neat. I'm sure there's some use that could be something that can be used with that color, but I didn't quite like it on the rat. I should have just got light color pink yarn or just left it. It's kind of cute gray. Okay, so now we're going to go with the ear. And I really don't like the ears a lot. It's just a bit too bright. Plus those ears, I should have put them up higher. So see, I'm looking where the seam to the ear to the rat is, and I'm just going right around there, and then I'm pulling up the yarn over where I needled just to make that line kind of precise. Okay, so here I decided that I didn't like the ears being pink, and I tried to put a gray over them just a little bit, but they did not turn out good. They did not turn out good, and it's just because the color was all wrong. So if you do this, number one, make sure you have the right color. Number two, you could just crochet the ears and the feet in the color that you want and just leave it because it would be adorable because it would be like two different textures. And then you don't even have to worry about it because the ears and the feet are kind of a pain. And then number three, the eyes, I messed up and I kept having a hard time dealing with them because here I'm trying to felt over the yarn eyes. And they kind of like, you can't really see it, but they blended into the gray. So there wasn't like a really fine line. And maybe if I like had more practice, it would be, but I just didn't like how they looked. It wasn't, it didn't look right to me. And I wanted it to stick out more. So I tried to make a dot and I tried to build it up like how that eye was, how the safety eye was, but it just wasn't working. So then you're going to see me try to use a yarn needle and I try to go back with it with yarn. But the thing that happened is that when you felt over it, it turns into a fabric and like all those little pieces of, the fluffy yarn blends in with the crocheted yarn and you can't go through it. I managed to find a couple holes to go through, but it was really hard. See, here's where I'm trying to do a little ball. No, that was when I was trying to do like an above eyelash kind of thing to try to shape the eye of the black part to see if so it wouldn't like blend in so much because it was just totally blending in. But that didn't work either. So I'm leaving this in here so hopefully you can learn from my mistakes because this is only the second time that I've done it. It's not the second time I felt it, it's just the second time I felt it on crochet items. But yeah, the eyes did not turn out good. So here I'm getting my yarn and my yarn needle. And I try to go through it and it's like I can't. So I go through the other eye that I haven't felted over yet and it's hard to find a hole. So then I have to find another hole to go back through. That's not working, so I try to take some of the felting off. I mean, it's like really, those holes just disappear. So then I find one, I tie it in a knot, and I go back through. And like, there's just no way that I'm going to build up this eye like this because there's not enough holes. So if I can give you any advice for the eyes, it's use safety eyes because it was so much easier. All you have to do is just make sure that your needle doesn't hit the eye. You just kind of go around it. And it's like way easier. Plus they look better because they're like all shiny and they really do look like rat eyes. So and then I tied them to in a knot at the bottom of the chin. And I just hide that with some felting, which is really nice. That's a neat way to hide knots. Oh, here, I'm still trying to fix the eye. I'm like determined to save it. So my advice is really just leave the feet and the ears. Just do them in a color that you want them and use safety eyes and voila. Or at least you use a color that you like because I really didn't like that pink. And there I'm covering up the chin. And this is about it for the little felted rat. I really hope that you like it. The pattern's on my Etsy. And if you like this, please subscribe and all that, stuff that people say. And I hope you have a nice day. And there's the little gray rat. Later.